will be interviewing Jennifer and Stuart Fritz. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
You go first. Ladies first.
I grew up in College Station, lived here my whole life, was programmer, database administrator, and I'm married to her. Is that enough?
Sure. Can you tell me something about you?
Yes, I am 30. I am originally from East Texas, and I moved here in '99 to go to A&M. Trying to think, I have 9 cats, 2 dogs, and I'm a writer.
What do you like to write?
Well, I write different things. I've written articles, a novel, stories, memoirs. So I like to dabble in a little bit of everything.
That's great. Can you tell me how long you two have been married?
12 years?
Since 2002?
Yeah, we actually got married in 2002. We've been together since '99.
Oh, wow. And do you have any children?
No.
No.
Unless you count the pets. Which we think equal about 4 kids.
Probably about 4. Yeah.
11 pets and they equal 4 kids?
Roughly. They make a lot more mess.
And they're much more enjoyable.
And neither of you have children from previous marriages? Or were you married previously?
I was married before and I have a son.
How old is he?
14.
Do you see him regularly?
15.
15. No, I don't.
Does he live here in College Station?
He does. Actually, I have talked to him, but I haven't seen him in a long time.
Oh.
Since about 2001? 2000?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
But you talk on a regular basis?
Well, we were. I don't know what happened. I guess he started going to school or something.
Well, he's a teenager.
Over the summer,
So.
I was talking to him about that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Since we were discussing your relationship, how would you describe your relationship with your partner, Jennifer?
She's talking to you.
Oh, I thought you said with your partner, Jennifer. You're talking to me.
Yes.
Crap, I have to go first. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to say some corny, nice things about him, and he's in the room. Well, I could almost go as far to say that we're codependent because we rely very much on each other, and we make a large portion up of each other's worlds, if I'm not wrong. But that's how it is for me. I love his sense of humor and the fact that we're both very seemingly different people in a world. That didn't make any sense. But so we're kind of like a sanctuary away from the world in a way.
You two get along really well.
Mostly, yes.
How would you describe your relationship with Jennifer?
It sounds pretty good.
No, you can't steal it.
Well, no, I mean, it's actually kind of creepy. It's like we're the same person sometimes. And we've actually debated that before. And one of us was a figment of the other one's imagination.
The only argument is whose imagination it is and who's the figment.
even after 10 years, or however long it's been, we still spend all our time together, and it's kind of makes you want to puke.
Yeah, so we don't really like to go on about it.
It's good. I guess if I had to describe it, you know, I couldn't imagine being with anybody else, so.
Exactly. Wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
So if you had to rate your relationship, 1 being not very satisfied and 10 being extremely satisfied, what would each of your numbers be?
You go first.
Well, I think that there's always room to grow, and not just on his end, but on both our ends, so I'd have to say 8.5.
That's a good number.
I was going to say 9.
Okay.
Most of the time, except for...
No, you go ahead, be honest.
No. 9, yeah. That's close.
You two seem to really complement each other.
Thanks.
We're on camera. People watching.
An audience, no.
So I know you had mentioned that you both are unemployed at the moment. Can you tell me what you're doing to cope with that right now?
Unemployment. Unemployment money, being that. Odd jobs, things like that. Just whatever we can find to deal with that. We're renovating our office to make it a better work environment. Before it was just kind of not messy, just
And inviting.
it wasn't really a place where you want to go because
Wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. You know, I mean, there was nothing to keep you in that room.
What both of us do, it requires a certain degree of creativity, and you don't feel very creative. You know, the room was just kind of slapped together and old looking and needed some paint and stuff like that, you know, so we're just trying to kind of work that out, and I hope it works. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I want to ask, when you ask the question of how are we coping, do you mean like financially or emotionally or
Emotionally, and what are you doing to keep yourself occupied?
Well, I'm playing video games, which is excellent, but also I've done more cooking and cleaning and organizing and kind of working with the same idea that if, you know, this is something that we've proved to ourselves before, if you live in a place that's clean and more aesthetically pleasing, it's going to make you happier, and that's going to make you more motivated to do things, especially artistic things.
And we got behind on some of that when we were both working, especially.
Yeah.
You know, it just, the house
Fell
just
by the
started
wayside, yeah.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of storage space, so things have a tendency to just sort of grow, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually it's like the drawer, you know, the extra drawer in the kitchen that has...
The catch-all drawer, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you end up having little nooks like that where there's just stuff, and she cleaned all that out when we had some company over. Company's always a good factor.
Good excuse to get the house clean quick, yeah.
For me, when I first stopped working, the first couple weeks were like vacation. It was nice to have some real time off where I wasn't thinking about what I had to do when I got back to work. And I hadn't had any vacation time in 12 years, so it had been a while.
Like real time off,
Real
more
time
than
off.
3 days or 4 days.
Yeah, you've got a week off and you're just going to sit on the house and watch TV. So that was nice. And then I kind of went through a phase of sleeping all day and not really being very productive. And so I just kind of started finding things that would occupy my time, things I've been meaning to do. There were some things wrong with the truck that needed to be fixed. I fixed most of those things that, you know, what we could afford. Drove her crazy. I was constantly working on it. And just stuff like that, just kind of finding projects. And also, anytime I can find work, that's paying work, you know, I take advantage of that.
So this has been instead of a negative experience, it's been positive for the both of you?
Primarily, yeah. I mean,
You're only 2 weeks in, I mean, she's just recently.
But I worked for 6 months, and then I quit my job, and that was 2 weeks ago. But prior to that, I had been, quote-unquote, off work or retired for about 2 years. A little bit over 2 years. And that was because I wanted to focus on my writing career. And while I was able to accomplish some things, it wasn't a quote-unquote career where you can get money. Because I just, I kind of have a tendency to, when I put a lot of importance on something, I have a reaction where I just freeze up. Because if I don't do anything, then I can't fail at it. And so it's been a lot different this time around, being at home, because I'm medicated. I'm on 50 milligrams of Prestige. And while I do have some of those times where I just freeze up and I'm not able to do anything and, you know, whatever, I don't give myself grief about it. You know, I just go and do things that make me happy, and I try to let it go. And then I'll have an idea for writing, and I'll do it. And it's not like a job, it's because it's something that I want to do. So, but primarily it's a good thing.
So it's been really productive and helpful for you.
I wouldn't say productive.
Not yet, but we're getting there. And again, I'm not pushing the production. That's something that, you know, I'm going to be easy on myself with, because the other way that I've tried hasn't worked.
I've been,
So.
and for me, I've been practicing more mindfulness. Do what you're doing while you're doing it, as opposed to
Being
thinking
in the
about
moment.
what else you have to do today or any of that stuff. You know, when you're vacuuming, you're vacuuming. You're not thinking about doing the dishes.
Or rushing, yeah.
And it actually kind of, I was actually vacuuming the first time that I had that thought. You know, I never really, in the last, you know, I started working when I was 16 years old, and it's been nonstop since then. I never really stopped to think about that before until I didn't have anything to do. And it was kind of like, you know, this is what I'm doing right now, so I don't need to worry about,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I'm sure you probably encountered that mindfulness. Yeah. That's
Definitely.
that's kind of a big deal, because it's like an active sort of meditation that, I don't know, it's like it gives your brain a friggin' break. You're just like, okay, let's just do this thing, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of the things, like the work on the truck and everything that I did a better job than in the past, because I wasn't rushing through it, and you know, I was really concentrating on what I was doing.
Not thinking about the future things that you needed to do, right?
Like
Instead of,
taking out the trash and dishes
right,
and
Kelly.
unemployment check, and
Mm-hmm.
I was hesitant at first to take advantage of that. I thought I had another job, so I wasn't worried about it. And that's what that's all about.
Just a little nudge.
She was trying, she said, why don't you just call him and, you know, get set up with
Yeah,
it.
it was driving me crazy. I was working at the time, of course, so, you know, everything changes when you aren't working versus if you are. It's totally different perspective.
And every day she would ask me about it, and it was like, yeah, I just gotta get the belt changed out on the, you know, thing, and gotta go get some more
It's
parts.
not like the vehicle was broken down in the first place. It was just squeaky.
It made a squeaky noise.
And so, like, he would float from one vehicle activity to the next. You know, well, I gotta take care of all this, and it was very hyper-focused and almost obsessive, and here I am working, which I didn't give him any guilt about, and I didn't mean to if I did, but all you have to do is make these phone calls and do these things, whereas I did 50 million of them a day. Why can't you just do this thing? He's like, oh, well, you know, it'll just be the bed.
I got up at like 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've started getting up in the mornings now, and the idea of working is much more appealing now that I've had, I think, what I could call real time off, you know, to kind of hit the reset button. Because my other job, I was so stressed out all the time.
So tapped.
Yeah, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to watch TV, go anywhere, do anything. I mean, it was just
Yeah, he was very negative,
very negative.
and he's not now.
It's taken 2 months to get out of that, and took a lot of effort, really.
Maybe it's cumulative, because it took me 6 weeks or 2 weeks, and I've only been working there 6 months.
Yeah.
So it's equivocal.
Well, what I do, you know, it takes a lot of learning and reading and, you know, practice and stuff like that. And I used to really want to do it, and that's the only reason why I learned. I didn't go to school or anything. I just learned it, and I didn't want to anymore. I didn't care. You know, it was rough there toward the end, because it was just kind of like, this isn't really being appreciated anyway. And at the end of the day, I could go and do that kind of work for other people and make money with it, but I had no self-motivation.
Right.
I mean, it was like it was just gone.
Well, and you're not a salesman.
No,
That doesn't mean you can't be.
I'd have to have somebody help me with that part.
I could help with that.
I can't.
And could you see a change in him once he did quit or get laid off from the position?
Absolutely. And it wasn't immediate, but, you know, it's like he said, it took him some time to sort of disconnect from that and to not have any feelings associated, any negative feelings associated with the fact that he's not working. Because me not having worked for 2 years, I've got some guilt, you know. So I can understand where he might have had that. But right now, we're actually both in a pretty good place. I mean, we're so happy we don't want to go back to work ever. So we're kind of motivated to do our own things and to put time into that.
Real effort.
Yep.
And you both feel that this is the best time for that, or that it...
What else?
The clock's ticking, basically. You know, we
If not now, when?
there's some
basically.
certain, what's the word, not hallmarks, but benchmarks that if you don't if you're not moving beyond this point at a certain time, then you need to do something different. So, you know, if I try to start up a web design company or something and it's not really doing anything within a couple of months, or when my unemployment starts to run out,
Yeah, you gotta put the time on it.
then I have to go get a job. I mean, and I'm fine with that. The other position, the other job that I had was just, it was such a negative place to be, and after having been there for so long, it was just awful.
It leaves you with bad taste.
I could have done that years ago, but instead I didn't want to just, you know, go home and stare at a wall or something and recharge. You know, and it was almost that bad. It really was. Some days, you know, some days are better than others. But, yeah.
That's really great that you're able to take that time off now and, you know, find what your niche is, or, you know, maybe you'll be more successful in something other than that, since that was something that was really negative for you.
Well, you know, they say that what it is that you do when you have time off is what you should do for a living, right? I've been refinishing furniture, so ritualistic. Maybe I should be a carpenter.
No.
Well, my carpentry skills
No,
not that
you're
good?
not Jesus.
Okay.
So when Stuart told you that he was laid off, you weren't bothered by it, or were you upset at all?
No. At that time, like he said, he had already applied for another job because it was something that was definitely foreseeable. And while we tried not to hold out hope, there were definitely some signs that it was possible he was going to get it. So, you know, it was fine. But, and once we knew that he wasn't going to get it, that's when I tried to push for the unemployment until we could find some other source of revenue.
So now that you're both home together, do you have a really good time being there all day with one another, or do you go off and do separate things during the day?
A little of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to get up earlier. Not a lot earlier, but, you know, I'm more of a morning person and she's more of a night person. Well, I wouldn't say morning person. I'm like early
You're not quite as much at night.
afternoon person.
Well, like he gets up at maybe 9, and I get up at 1 because I don't go to sleep until like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
That's just my
she
natural
stays up.
circadian rhythm.
She just stays up at night. And, you know, with the kind of work that we're talking about, it makes very little difference when you're conscious, just as long as you are productive. And but yeah, during the time that we do see each other, we do stuff together. Like I said, I've been working on fixing up the office, you know, and she does her thing, and I don't know what she's doing.
You know what I'm doing. I'm playing my game.
She plays her game. But
I'm playing with the kittens.
you do other
or,
stuff too.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's been all right, actually. It's a strong motivator to not have to go into an office.
have a conventional job because, yeah, I mean, we like spending that time together, and I love spending that time with my pets too. But mainly him, I guess.
But it is nice to be home, which is a good reason to have home be a comfortable place.
Yeah. More pleasant place to be around.
We intentionally bought a house that was not nice because it was cheap.
Yep.
And not even with the plan of fixing it up. We didn't even buy one that had
Because it was
potential.
supposed to be temporary,
It was a temporary thing, and I'm glad we did it right now. That's the only reason why we're not really sweating it. The only reason why we are in the position that we are right now. If we had a mortgage or rent,
Oh, no,
we'd be
no.
doomed.
And we'd probably be very miserable.
Oh,
so, I
yeah.
mean, it's all about priorities. Like, do you want to live in a super fancy place where you pay $2,000 a month and you're committed to a job for virtually the rest of your life, or do you want to poop in a bucket? You know.
Sometimes. But whenever we did that, it was, we sat down and did the math. We had moved a couple of times around. We were just trying to find the cheapest place we could find, and found this place. What was it, like $450 a month?
Well, we had been evicted, and that was the cheapest place we could find without having the necessary prerequisites and everything. And yeah, it was a rundown old trailer, small,
Smelled like
and it was like $450. Oh, but it had a yard.
It did have
And
a
that was
yard.
the cheapest. And we ended up living there how long?
3 years.
3 years, and we added up
How much we had
450
spent.
times 36. Oh God. And we're like, this is crazy.
This
Why don't
is
we just
stupid.
buy a crappy old trailer and put it on his
And
parents'
the
land? Because
one-
they'd offered many times.
Yeah, my parents
So
had
that's what we
property available, and we did that. And the plan was that we would either purchase property from my parents somewhere on the area that they have and build a house, But whenever we got out there and we started really looking into what would have to be done, you have to
Financially, I mean, you have to clear the land,
You have
and
to have-
also wells are like $12,000. Septic systems are like $4 or $5, and
at least.
so it's not just simple as cheap house, put it there,
Yeah.
like SimCity. It's
Well, not just the building of the house, that's not all that goes into it, and there's an initial investment that would be required. And the more that we thought about it, the more we thought, maybe we don't want to live right next door to your parents, Maybe we want to go buy some, well, no, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just, I live in my mom's backyard, essentially. That's how it feels to me.
it's privacy.
Well, I mean, we're a couple hundred feet away. I mean, it's not her backyard.
Yeah, but we don't talk to them that often. You do, but
It's not that, it's just,
yeah, it would be better if we had a
So we
place
started
of our own,
thinking-
no commitments or obligations to anyone else. But
Because if something like this happens, you're not as screwed, I guess. So, I guess the sacrifice of having to wear shoes when you walk around the house because you might get splinters, is worth it. Because, we did get to spend this
you can
time.
rationalize anything to suit your own needs. Of course, trademark Johnny Love.
Well, I'm so glad that you're able to come and share your time with me today. I really appreciate you interviewing with me. This is really beneficial for me as a student and becoming a marriage and family therapist. So I really want to thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for